Hey guys, I got a quick Bible comparison video for you. Today we're going to be comparing the Schuyler Quentel in black goatskin and the Cambridge wide margin in black goatskin. Now these Bibles are some of the top of the line that you can get. This is one of Cambridge's flagship Bibles, so they're very well known for this one. And then of course Quentel is the flagship for Schuyler. And these are both beautiful Bibles. They're both pretty expensive, but they're going to last you a lifetime. Now, they both do have different purposes, in my opinion, and I'll go over those in this video. But I kind of wanted to compare size and leather and material and so on and so forth. So looking at the outward expressions of these Bibles, looking at the Schuyler first, you have a tight black goat skin leather. I believe this is a natural grain, very tight, very smooth. You have the Jerusalem cross on the cover and on the spine. And with the spine, you have 5 raised hubs, Holy Bible, English Standard Version. Now with the Cambridge, you have a deeper, more textured grain. And it's also got some shine to it. That might be because of use. I've had this Bible for close to 3 years now. It still looks brand new on the outward side. On the spine here, you have 5 tooled hubs. They're not raised, they're tooled in there with Cambridge, wide margin, English Standard Version, and Holy Bible. Opening these up, you have got a synthetic polymer liner on the Cambridge. And of course, it is perimeter stitched. And that shows on the inside as well. Very smooth, very soft cover. I mean, it's very flexible. It's one of the most flexible covers I've ever had in a Bible. And then, of course, it is edge-lined, and you do have that thicker cardstock paper. Now, on the Schuyler, you have a goatskin leather liner, so it's a step up. And then, of course, you have gold gilting around the corners and the edges. And this one is also perimeter stitched. And then, of course, it's also edge-lined. So as far as the cover goes, I would say that I like the Cambridge better. The Cambridge has a thicker, more textured goatskin feel. However, the inner liner, I would go with the Schuyler. It's more beautiful, it's more soft. It's true leather on the inside versus the polymer. Now, the ribbons you get with these Bibles, for the Schuyler, you get a Beresford ribbon. You get 3 of them. They're in a dark red. And then, of course, with the Cambridge, you get some subpar ribbons. They're more bright red. They're not terrible ribbons. I mean, I've had this Bible for 3 years. They haven't frayed at all. But they're not up to the quality as the Beresford are. So looking at the size differences, they're about the same height. If you can see that, they're about the same height, about the same width. Almost exactly the same width. However, the wide margin is quite a bit wider than the Quentel. I would say this is a more portable Bible than the wide margin. Now, opening these Bibles up, it's where it really gets different. We'll just go ahead and open it up to the middle of the book. You do have double column paragraph formats in both Bibles. However, on the Cambridge, you have the reference suite in the center of the text versus on the bottom in the Quentel. The Quentel is the only Bible that has that unique reference suite. But they do both come with references. I do love that. I think a good study Bible or any kind of Bible should have a good reference system. Now, one thing else you will notice with the wide margin is, of course, it has wide margins. Now, these are some of the widest margins I would say that a Bible has besides a journaling Bible. And it's not lined, but it's got plenty of space. The one thing that's different, though, is the margins on the outside are quite a bit thicker than the bottom, the top, and, of course, the inner margin. There's not much inner margin on that gutter. There's enough to definitely take some notes and put some symbols, but not enough to write big like I did there. Now, the paper on the Cambridge, I'm not sure what GSM it is. I would say it's probably around a 36 GSM. thickness. Now versus the Schuyler, you have a 28 GSM paper. This is your typical Bible paper as far as thickness goes. Now the paper itself, the quality, I would say that the Cambridge has more of a textured, rough feeling to it. It is India Bible paper, whereas the Schuyler has a much smoother, much more elegant feel to it. It's a lot smoother. One of my biggest concerns with Schuyler when I first got one over a year ago was the smoothness of the paper. I like to, not to tear up my Bibles, but I like to write in them and so on and so forth, and I just felt that this paper was too delicate. I've kind of gotten over that in the past month or so, but that was my original concern. As far as note-taking, you're definitely going to want to stick with the Cambridge wide margin. There's so many more features in this Bible as far as note-taking goes than the Quentel. But the paper is much smoother, much more fancy, I would say, on this Bible. Now the typeset in the wide margin is, I believe, a 9.5, maybe even a 9, whereas the Schuyler is an 11-point font. So you're going to have a lot more readability in this Bible than you would in the Cambridge wide margin. Also, your chapter headings are in red versus the black in this Bible. Moving forward to the New Testament, you have red letter text. This is the ESV model. I don't believe all Cambridge wide margins have the red letter text, but the Cambridge ESV wide margin does, whereas the Schuyler Quentel does not. That's one thing I wish they would change, especially in this Bible. I mean, you have the red under gold, and then the red inner liner. I would really love to see some red letter text in this Bible. I'm a personal fan of that. I know a lot of people aren't, but the red letters in the Cambridge wide margin are not super distracting, but they definitely pop off the page. And of course, you'll see a lot of notes in this Bible, which is what I use this Bible primarily for, is preparing teachings and studies. Now, going back to the back of the Bibles, you will see, let's see here, they both have a concordance. Now, the concordance in the Cambridge is much more readable. It's kind of funny because the text is more readable in the Schuyler than the Cambridge, but the Cambridge has a more readable concordance than the Schuyler. Now, I do love the Schuyler. It's 3 columns. They're both 3 columns. The words are in red versus black in the wide margin, but there just seems to be a lot more, the text is a lot bigger in the wide margin. Now, one thing you get with the Cambridge is a bunch of paper in the back. You've got an index to notes. You can take notes in whatever form you want. It starts off with A, B, C, and so on and so forth. I just kind of have different subtopics here that I can write verses in to get a quick handle on a specific topic. You do have that going all the way until Z, so you can make use of this paper very well. There's also, I would say, about 30 to 40 pages of lined paper. Now, this paper is a bit thicker than the actual text paper. I would say this is almost a 40 GSM paper, maybe even a 45, but tons of lined paper in the back. Again, this Bible, the Cambridge wide margin, is the perfect Bible, in my opinion, to take notes. Some of my prayer requests, so on and so forth. Getting back, you do have a Cambridge Bible maps with the famous map index. Now, their map index is very beautiful. If you're someone who loves maps, this would be a great Bible for you. So many, and then of course you have the maps. Now, one thing I love about this Bible, there's actually many things I love, is just the features. You have wide margins, you have cross references, you have lined notebook paper, you have a concordance, you have maps. It's pretty much got it all. Now, the Schuyler Quentel, after the concordance, you have your Bible maps. Now, these maps, kind of the same, color scheme as the Cambridge. Got a few charts in there. This is a map of of Israel in the time of Jesus and all of the different encounters he had with people. And going forward, you have a map index as well. Now, this map index is not as extensive as the Cambridge, but it will do, again, if you like maps. This will be good for you. And then in the back, it's got a few pages of empty paper. Nothing special, but that's that. That is the Schuyler Quentel. That's the back of it. Again, not much to it in the back. It would be good if they had some lined paper. So that's that, guys. Well, if that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.